taking the time to attend this press conference this morning, where we share the details about the upcoming Sagicor Junior International Tennis Tournament, which will start on Saturday, 5th August at the courts at Borsejou and continue until Thursday, August 10th. My name is Deborah Raoul. I am the Assistant Manager for Eastern Caribbean Operations for Sagicor General Insurance, and I will be performing chairperson duties today and guiding you through this short but what promises to be a deeply informative press conference. I'm delighted to welcome you this morning, and we're grateful for your presence. I'd like to begin by introducing you to the members of the head table, all of whom will be providing you with different aspects of information related to the upcoming tournament. Closest to me is Dr. Stephen McNamara, President, St. Lucia Tennis Association. Next to him is Mr. Jim Xavier, Director of Sports from the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, who we are very grateful that. Immediately next to Mr. Xavier is Alhil Cyril, who is the current Under-12 champion, having emerged as the winner of the tournament last year. We're happy that he is able to join us to provide some thoughts about the tournament from the athlete's perspective. Finally, next to Alhil is Mr. Sherlon Leo, Head of Sales for Sagicor Life, Eastern Caribbean Incorporated. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presence today. I would also like to recognize Ms. Skylar Murray, the Tournament Director for the upcoming competition, who also wears the hat of Administrator for the St. Lucia Tennis Center, a couple members of the executive team from Sagicor in St. Lucia. We have present with us Mr. Ian Phillips, Principal Representative and Assistant Vice President Operations for Sagicor Life, Eastern Caribbean Incorporated, and Mrs. Carol Mangal, General Manager for Sagicor Finance Incorporated. Thank you all for your visible support today. I'm happy as well to have the rest of the National Tennis Administration team, parents, and a representative group of our young tennis athletes here. We welcome you all, and a special welcome to our media representatives. Thank you for your time and for joining us to get the word out about this tournament. Let's get the ball rolling, shall we? So the first person to speak with you this morning is Mr. Sherlon Leo, who is the Head of Sales of Sagicor Life, Eastern Caribbean Incorporated. This morning, he is here to provide a brief overview of Sagicor's involvement in the upcoming tennis tournament and the thought process behind our continued support. Thanks so much, Sherlon, for coming to speak this morning.
Thank you to my colleague, this morning's Mistress of Ceremonies, Miss Deborah Rao. I'd like to begin by recognizing my colleagues at the head table. Mr. Jim Xavier, Director of Sports, Ministry of Youth Development and Sports. Dr. Stephen McNamara, President, the St. Lucia Tennis Association. Mr. Alhil Cyril, current Under-12 champion of the Sagicor Junior International Tennis Tournament. Officials from the St. Lucia Tennis Association and colleagues from Sagicor. I'd like to recognize Mr. Ian Phillips, Principal Representative for our St. Lucia offices and Assistant Vice President. Thank you. For operations for the EC and Belize, as well as Mrs. Carol Mangal, General Manager for Sagicor Finance Inc. Members of the National Tennis Administration, the athletes here this morning, parents, and of course our media representatives. Good morning to you all. It's been a year since I've been here last time to address you, but I have to be honest, I was a bit anxious. Why? The last time I address this team, I had to open the tournament with a young man named Zane Curtin. And for those of you who were there, Zane aced me twice. I just could not return the serve. And I was a little afraid to hope I wouldn't see him here today. I was told he's not here. So some of the butterflies are out. But other than that, it is my absolute privilege to be Sagicor this morning and provide some background to you about Sagicor's support of this tournament. Each year it gives us great pleasure to partner, working to bring this great opportunity to the young tennis players of St. Lucia, the Caribbean, and other countries that will be represented in just a couple of weeks. As many of you would know, Sagicor is 182 years old, but now operating across the Americas. Our vision, which we live and breathe every single day, is to be a great company committed to improving the lives of the people within the communities within which we operate. Therefore, in 2018, when the organizers of the tournament, the Tennis Association, first approached us, asking us whether we'd be prepared to support this event, it was easy for us to say yes. It was easy for us to say yes to the parents and guardians who support the holistic development of the young people we have here with us today and across the region. It was easy for us to say yes to the staff and the volunteers who devote their time and their efforts to a worthy cause such as this. And of course, it was easy for us to say yes to the young athletes in the room today. Partnerships like these are the ones Sagicor lives for. To partner with our community, to create that type of synergy, that type of growth and development, that partnership with one another, with our stakeholders, that we believe augurs well for the holistic development of our Caribbean society. And for Sagicor is saying yes in 2023. St. Lucia is one of our most significant, in St. Lucia, our partnership with the Tennis Association is one of our most significant partnerships. It mirrors our support for tennis in Trinidad and Tobago. Just 2 weekends ago, some of the same St. Lucian young people who will be competing in August were in Trinidad competing in the regional tournaments happening there and in our own youth-sponsored tournament. I feel that is an example of the impact that an organization's investment in youth can have for those who are involved. At Sagicor, we feel strongly that every child should have an opportunity to explore his interests or her interests. Our support provides organizations like the St. Lucia Tennis Association with the means to host competitions like these at a regional level. And I want to just stress this. This is as much as we're talking about the launch of the competition here in St. Lucia. This is a regional tournament. And the region are being touched by this partnership. The fact that the development of an athlete in any sport requires investment and support of the community is a reason why we said yes. It's not just one person. It's not just the organizers. It's not just Sagicor. Parents to commit time and effort. The volunteers. And of course, the community who support and reward the hard work of these young people. And again, to that, Sagicor, we say yes. With that in mind, I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize the President of the Tennis Association, Dr. Stephen McNamara, for his continued support to the development of St. Lucia tennis. His love for the game and passion for its continued growth is inspirational. Last year, we registered over 60 participants from 16 countries, and we are very hopeful that we will have close to those numbers or more when we start on August 5th. We're happy to see that the support for tennis is strong and urge our partners in the private sector to join us in working together to lift the profile of St. Lucia tennis, not just within the country, but across the region as well. We at Sagicor are excited to see and support the players from August 5th to 10th to recognize the hard work and the dedication of the coaches, referees, and other administrative staff who make this tournament a success. And we do each year, we urge lovers of tennis, sports and supporters of youth to visit the tennis center in Bossiju in August in support of the matches. Bring the kids, bring some refreshments. Make a day of watching our young people succeed, compete, healthy competition, within their age groups, and of course with competition from across the region. At the end of the day, don't forget, it's about supporting Team St. Lucia. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Shalon. I know we share the same sentiments and are exceedingly proud to work with this organization and on this project, which is so supportive of our young people and our sporting development right here in St. Lucia. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Stephen McNamara, President of the St. Lucia Tennis Association, to share with us the details of the tournament for this year. Dr. McNamara's support of tennis in St. Lucia is well documented and established, and we are so appreciative of his support to youth tennis in particular. Dr. McNamara, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Please join us at the podium.
Morning, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chairperson, for that kind introduction. It's good to see everybody here this morning. I think the protocols have been feverishly established, so I don't propose to go through them again. But it's very nice to see all the usual attendees here and our colleagues at the head table and other representatives of Sagicor who have been referred to. Just let me, on behalf of the St. Lucia Tennis Association, welcome you all to this press conference and to the tournament in general, which will be taking place, as has been said, in the next couple of weeks. I just want to digress perhaps for a moment to congratulate on behalf of the Tennis Association. I'm sure I can include Sagicor in this congratulation, and I'm absolutely sure I can include the ministry and everyone here to congratulate Julian Alfred, our golden girl, for her recent golden exploits abroad. It's fantastic to see someone like this representing St. Lucia and the region, and she sets a huge example for all the youngsters who are here and those in the region at large. When they look at someone like her, they can get a glimpse of what it means to bestride the world stage in the discipline that you have chosen for yourself. And in the case of our tennis players, we hope that one day in the not too distant future, one of these players will bestride the world of tennis in the manner in which Julian is doing it in athletics. So we wish her all the very best. I'm sure she knows that the whole country and the whole region, frankly, are behind her. And we look forward to seeing her in St. Lucia as soon as her busy schedule permits. And we also look forward to her representing St. Lucia clearly at the upcoming Olympics, where we can see gold even from this distance. So ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you all and welcome. In order to get our youngsters to this position, we have been sending them and causing them to attend tournaments throughout the region as best as we can and as circumstances will allow. So in that regard, in February, there were the Junior Billie Jean King Cup in Guatemala. In March, we were at the World Junior Under-14s in the Dominican Republic. And just here earlier in July, we were in the Under-12 qualifier in Trinidad and Tobago. So we continue to ensure that they get this exposure. And of course, we continue to host this tournament so that they can be exposed to regional and extra-regional players here in their own backyard. I just want to mention additionally that we do also have the ITF Under-18 tournament, which just precedes this one by a few days. You will hear about that in another discussion perhaps, as it has a slightly different sponsor. So we will address that in due course. As you've heard, the tournament, the sign-in for the tournament is on the 4th of August. It begins on the 5th to the 10th. The opening ceremony, to which everyone is invited, is on the 6th. And we'd hope to see as many people there as possible. In terms of Sagicor, today is Sagicor's day. It's the tournament's day. But essentially it's a day for us to, in addition to broadcasting the tournament and making it known, publicizing it, it is an opportunity to thank Sagicor for their unfaltering support of this tournament. As you may remember, for years and years and years, this was a Coca-Cola tournament. Both the tournaments of which I've spoken were Coca-Cola tournaments. Now this aspect of it is the Sagicor tournament. We cannot express too greatly our appreciation of them for stepping in when they were needed to do this. I was very pleased to hear Shalan indicate that they are very pleased to be doing it. He sounded like they would like to continue to do it, and we certainly, and if he didn't sound like it, I'm going to treat it as though he sounded like it, because we very much would wish this to be the case. We have, at the moment, in the under-14s, 48 entrants, under-12s, 24 entrants, and that's just up to now. There's still a lot of time for entries. We are expecting about 80 participants in this tournament. I thank Sagicor profusely, and I mention these numbers because we need to keep this tournament properly sponsored and carry it off in a proper manner in order to maintain its grade 1 status. What would happen if we missed 1 year of this tournament, other than for reasons of pandemic and other scourges, would be that the tournament would be downgraded from a grade 1 tournament to something below that. And this we do not want. So we absolutely must have this tournament every year in order to keep its level up at where it is now, which is grade 1, which means a lot to the participants because they get points, greater points and so on. And the ITF is watching, and the minute you fall off the edge, you get downgraded to a 2 or 3. The other aspect, the reason one mentions numbers, is because if you don't have a decent number of persons at your tournament, you will also be downgraded. So we must have a sponsor, and we must keep the tournament of the kind to which persons wish to come and look forward to coming and plan in advance to be here, so that our numbers can be kept to what we would like to see and what we have to have in order to keep the standing of this tournament as what it is. This is a standing that people like Siler Murray and Aisha Emil and the board of the Tennis Association and everyone up at the tennis center works hard to preserve, and this is why we always ask too that the players conduct themselves in a manner that brings credit to the tournament and preserves it for the persons and the players and the other youngsters who will follow them in the numbers which we hope to see. I just therefore now want to thank, in sort of closing, the SLOC for allowing us to use their premises again for this press conference. Obviously to thank the press for coming, and to thank Sagicor again for their continued sponsorship of this event, for which we are extremely grateful. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for attending, and I hope to see persons attending the actual tournaments in large numbers this year, so that it can be seen to be and be made into the success that it needs to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. McNamara, for your contribution and for your continued commitment to the development of tennis in St. Lucia. We all appreciate what you have shared today, as I am certain that those present this morning now have a clear idea of what's going to be happening when the tournament starts in a couple of weeks. Next to the podium, I am happy to introduce Al Hill Cyril, who is our current reigning under-12 champion. Al Hill has grown up in tennis. He has been playing since he was 6 years old. This year, we wanted to give an athlete the opportunity to speak to you directly about his experience as a tennis player and at the tournament. We welcome Al Hill to the podium to speak to you this morning.
Protocol already being established. Good morning to all. I am Alil Cyril, the 2022 Under-12 champion for the Sagicor Junior International Tennis Tournament. Firstly, I must say that I'm grateful to our Sagicor Live EC, our proud sponsor, for your continued support shown to youth development in St. Lucia, especially to my favorite sport, tennis. We are all thank you for the many opportunities provided by you. Participating in regional tournaments is compulsory, so we can attain international representation from St. Lucia, and yes, it may seem difficult and costly, but we know we are covered and will be catered for by our government and private partners like Sagicor. This tournament not only motivates us juniors, but it builds the hype in the sport among us athletes. We are all excited and look forward to representing St. Lucia at this event. I am certain my other colleagues from across the region feel the same way about representing their country. Tennis is a sport for life. It has taught me to be independent, responsible, and resilient, and has helped me to build confidence in myself. Many would say that tennis is more mental fitness or being able to master the art of being flexible and able to adjust to every situation. We all struggle with our emotions on the court, and for one I can say that it has taught me how to deal with tough situations. I have been able to apply my mental toughness to my everyday life. Never give up, keep pushing. If you fall, pick yourself up and try again, and many valuable lessons learned. My journey thus far has not been the easiest, but I love it and enjoy every moment of it because I love competing and I love the sport of tennis. I will do what it takes to be the best. Example, putting in those many hours of long training on the court, trying to perfect every shot, being disciplined and obedient to my parents, coach, and respecting my colleagues. We are taught to be patient but aggressive, humble but proud, and always show the true spirit of sportsmanship on and off the court. My parents have always encouraged me to pay respect to the professional athletes that I aspire to be one day. I have so much appreciation for these heights that those great men and women have reached in the sport. I know it wasn't attained by a certain flight, but by a lot of hard work and dedication. Today, I wish to employ my colleagues to do the same, to aspire to be great, to always do your best, to show appreciation to every opportunity given, and to represent St. Lucia with pride and dignity. I attend the Leon Hess Comprehensive Secondary School, and my motto is education for service. Those three words can be summarized to mean so many things. What I have understand from this motto is that we have all given a great opportunity to serve our country, family, friends, and this can be extended to a wider region and the world. But the only way we can achieve this is by first attaining a good education. I apply this to my sport as well. I want to represent my country in tennis at the highest levels of competition. I don't only want this goal for me, but for my colleagues and teammates who I train and tour with. I know the only way I can achieve this is by attaining decent results in events like the Sagicor Junior International Tournament. Training really hard and do what the greats before me have done. I have believed that this goal is reachable because I am destined for greatness. We all owe it to ourselves to be the best version of us in whatever field, sport or profession, or what we endeavor. What is important to this preparation, we must prepare at an early age so when the opportunity presents itself, we are ready and are able to rise to the occasion. In saying this, I would like to recognize Ms. Julian Alfred, a perfect example of hard work, dedication, perseverance, and never gives up on a dream. Please give a round of applause. And we all know she would achieve it in due course. I congratulate her for flying the St. Lucian flag high, representing us on an international scene and attaining those remarkable results. Congratulations, Ms. Alfred. We all aspire to be great like Ms. Alfred and represent St. Lucia with pride and making our country proud. This is my goal in tennis, to always make my people proud. I wish all competitors good luck and remind you that the way we show appreciation to our sponsor, coaches, parents and team members is by putting up our best fight, never giving up and always do our best. Once again, on behalf of the St. Lucia Tennis Fraternity, the St. Lucia Tennis Association, coaches, athletes, parents, umpires, I thank you Sagicor Life EC for understanding the importance of supporting youth development and sports, which is beneficial to the entire Kotek region. We appreciate the continued encouragement from our team members. To my colleagues, the direction we can go from here is way up. Thank you.
Thank you, Alil. Great job. And I hope you are ready to answer some questions that the media may have later on. To our media guests, please ensure that you've left your email details with one of the Sagicor reps that are in the audience, as we will be emailing you all of this information, so it will be in your email by the time you get into your office. We're grateful to have Mr. Jim Xavier, Director of Sports from the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, present with us this morning. The continued success of tournaments like the Sagicor Junior International Tennis Tournament and the work of the St. Lucia Tennis Association is supported by the Ministry of Sports, and we're happy to have Mr. Xavier present to provide the administration's perspective on the continued development of youth sport, particularly as it relates to tennis. Mr. Xavier, thank you for coming, and we welcome you to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. With a presentation like what was done by young Cyril, I must say that the future is in great hands. Oh, yeah. And those of us sporting degrees like me, we could be joyful that we are doing the right thing and that we are leaving the country in great hands. Dr. Stephen McNamara, President of the St. Lucia Tennis Association, and other members of the executive of that association, other distinguished members of the head table, Mr. Michael Midget Pierre, Sportsman of the Year 1974. Now, I'm not saying that to give off your age, but just to really recognize your outstanding pursuits in the field of athletics. Representatives of Sagicor, members of the media, parents, well-wishers, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning to you. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning.
Very well. On behalf of the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, I would like to profusely commend the St. Lucia Tennis Association, as well as Sagicor, and all the other sponsors who may have been associated in staging this critical tournament. This tournament serves as a nursery for identifying and nurturing the talents of our budding young tennis players from St. Lucia and across the region. The Ministry of Youth Development and Sports views sports as a vehicle to transform and enhance the lives of our young people and by extension our communities and societies. So you may ask the question, how can sports do this? Well, research has shown that there are a number of benefits to be derived from playing sports. Some of those include developing self-esteem, and I'm happy that some of those I'm going to say there are aligned with the presentation by young Cyril, and so it is well captured. But this is one core area, one core benefit of playing sports. You will have that level of self-confidence, self-esteem, and you could stand out as an individual, as a sporting individual, as compared to a non-sporting individual. Of course, coaches, parents, physical education teachers, and others play a critical role in developing that level of self-esteem among the young people. Social skills, critical again. Teamwork, communication skills, accepting and respecting all persons, whatever their differences may be. Accepting defeat. This is an important life skill, as life is filled with its challenges, ups and downs, and you will learn how to overcome difficult times. Discipline, both mental, physical, and tactical. This is important, and physical fitness and health. This is not the exhaustive list. There are other benefits of playing sports. And so with the appreciation of all those benefits that one can derive from sports, the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports uses this opportunity to pledge its continued support. And I must bring on board the NLA, because over the years as well, the National Lotteries Authority, along with the ministry, has been making tremendous contributions to this tournament, and will continue to do so. Okay, so we will continue to support the Tennis Association and Sagicor, and I must applaud Sagicor, because at a time when the private sector, in my view, is very stingy in terms of their contribution to sports, because a lot of it is left to NLA and the ministry, and of course, you know, we have limited resources. So I want to applaud Sagicor for coming on board and for sustaining this tournament. I also want to use this platform to appeal to St. Lucia, the parents, well-wishers, members of the media, to come out in large numbers to support. One important component of developing elite athletes and supporting athletes is parental support and crowd support. And I know a lot of times, for instance, there was the recent female cricket, and you could have seen the level of support. So what I'm saying is that we need to develop this culture of supporting our young people, and that will help them in excelling in their sports. With those few words, I say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Xavier, for being present this morning and bringing with you the support of the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to you, our media reps, for any questions or points of clarification you may need. Please note that you can ask questions of anyone at our head table. For the purposes of recording, can you state your name and the media house you represent before you ask your question? Yes?
Curry Nelson, on 7 TV. I don't know who exactly this will be pointed. I was a bit into the story, it was mentioned. But I was just wanting a few technical questions in terms of participating countries, format of the tournament, like knockout rounds, or is there like some kind of table format prior, like just a little format of the tournament and the participation.
Technical director.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. So far, we only have countries from COTEC. We have 11 confirmed countries so far and 48 participants. But the deadline is tomorrow, so by tomorrow we'll be able to confirm our numbers.
And what's the format in terms of knockout rounds and
So on Saturday and Sunday is round robin. The format is used to maximize play for the athletes. We don't use a knockout format for juniors. So a player comes in and gets a maximum of 6 matches. Unlike the ITF, as soon as you play, you get knocked out and you're out of the tournament. We don't use the format for 14th and 12th.
who's the coordinator?
Silas Murray, the tournament director. Sorry? It will be sent to you. Yes.
Reginald Andrew from the Boys Commission. In terms of the categories, there's under 14, under 12,
Yes.
separate categories.
Sorry?
Two separate categories.
Yes, they are.
So you have players for each.
Yes. Because to play under 14s, you must be 11 years, and to play under 12, you must be 10 years. So some of the athletes are not allowed to enter the 14s, which is why we have the under 12s invitational. But the regional event is really the under 14s. The 12s is the invitational. And we do have players coming from across the region to play both.
And is it male, female, categories?
Male, female, yes. And they're separate.
No, this one is not.
Thank you.
Say it.
As chairman, how pleased are you with the sponsorship so far? I understand it's 5 years. I understand it's 5 years. Sagicor has been sponsoring. How pleased are you with the sponsorship? And are there any thing you'd like to see change or improve about the sponsorship?
Can you go to the podium?
Yeah, I would have hoped that I had made it abundantly clear how pleased we are with the sponsorship of Sagicor. As I said, you know, the history of this tournament, I think we're in the 38th year of this tournament. For 34 or so of those years, it was a Coca-Cola tournament. And so we had become rather used to Coca-Cola and depending on them. When with the changing world and so on and so forth, they decided that maybe their focus might be elsewhere, Sagicor immediately jumped into the breach, because if they hadn't and we couldn't find a sponsor, I've already explained the consequences of that. The tournament would have gone downhill and been downgraded. So Sagicor leapt to our defense, our support, and have continued to do so for the ensuing 3 years, with two left out for the pandemic. The second part of your question, I think, was how much more would you like me to see them do? Well, you know, beggars can't always be choosers. I mean, the very simple answer to that question is, if they would double the amount of money they gave, everybody at the Tennis Association would be very happy. But one has to be practical. And Sagicor itself, a company with which, for various reasons, I'm very familiar, and whilst it is a very successful regional organization at the top of its game when it comes to insurance, It operates also in the current environment, which places its limitations. And we understand this at the Tennis Association, and we know when somebody is supporting us to the best of their current ability, and we look forward to that continued support. And I'm sure that Sagicor, as things develop and change, will adjust their stance in the matter to suit. But for our purposes, suffice it to say that they have supported us for the last 4 years. Everything I've heard today suggests that they might continue to do so, and we don't want to do anything or say anything to upset that situation.
Thank you. Mr. Makaro,
Yeah, tell me.
good morning, everyone. I'm quite cognizant of the fact and the strides that the Central Tennis Association is doing to develop the sports on the island. However, what are the plans, either immediate or in the future, to get tennis growth out of the country's environment?
Okay, well, Sila will explain some of that. I mean, one of the things is our schools program, which we will be reintroducing come September. We had a 25 schools program at the tennis center with children coming from everywhere to the center to be coached. The pandemic put a bit of a spoke in that wheel, but in September we intend to reintroduce this and hopefully build it back up to its former strength. There's also a schools program being run by Tiger Tennis in the Gardens, which assists, and we have been talking to various sponsors about joining us to go around the island to various schools to establish tennis playing facilities in the schools. And as I say, Sila might be able to give you a little more detail as to where that has reached, but that would be the aim, to have tennis facilities and tennis tuition in schools around the island as we move forward. But the first thing would be to re-establish the schools program, because we know it was successful. 25 schools, as I say, participated in it, and they all appreciated it. It's just that it all went a bit haywire when the pandemic struck. So our immediate aim is to get that back on track. Zahil, I don't know if you want to add anything in terms of around the island and so on.
Just 7 years ago, or 6 to 7 years ago, we had a thriving grassroots program where we brought in players from Grand Riviere Primary, Moshi, Rosalie, and those athletes now, well, they're grown men. They will be participating in a training course in September with our regional director, who will be doing his annual visit, and he will be certifying some PE teachers and those former athletes, to assist with our schools program. So this is the plan also for the program. One of our issues is we don't have sufficient coaches at the moment, so we will be certifying them to assist.
Mr. Makaro, what about it?
Is that all?
Tony the Bowler, no stranger to tennis. Just like Coca-Cola, 48 years and content. I listened to young Cyril, and wonderful speech. And I want to know exactly what is it, after listening to young Cyril this morning, the Tennis Association will do in the days ahead in terms of securing sponsorship for young Cyril, of course, Denny Esteva, because these young boys from last year, they've been on the circuit, just going overseas and play and give blows. Will you now look at a sponsor that will ensure that it lessens the pressure on the parents' pocket while these young men go over there and represent St. Lucia?
I don't know, are you asking that question of Sagicor again? No, I mean, we are always on the hunt for sponsors, and we are always trying to see whether, and we have caused certain of our elite players to be accepted in universities in the United States, where some of them are present now and doing very well. Not too long ago, we had representatives of the universities in the United States here in St. Lucia explaining what athletes could do to attend these universities, and a lot of it would have been sponsored by the universities themselves. So we continue to work with these educational establishments abroad with a view to having our elite athletes, tennis players, not only academically attend for academic reasons, but also attend for the purpose of tennis and improving their tennis and playing for these institutions, and hopefully going on from there to further and better things. So that's really what we are aimed at. I couldn't say that we have targeted a specific sponsor to sponsor particular specific individuals to travel, but that's certainly something we could look at. I think somebody mentioned that it's not perhaps the best environment right now for sponsorship because everybody is recovering from the pandemic and watching, their back door very carefully. But I'm sure that as things improve in St. Lucia, which I'm sure they will do, and appear to be doing, these sponsorships will become more readily available, and you can rely on the Tennis Association to be waiting in the slips to snap them up as they find the edge.
Thank you so much for your questions. So we've really appreciated the opportunity to ensure that you have all the information necessary to share this story. I know I speak for all of us here today when I say that we are all looking forward to this event, to see the competitors from all over the world compete and enjoy themselves in St. Lucia after a long time. Thank you for attending, and from the St. Lucia Tennis Association and the Sagicor, I do hope we will see you at the opening ceremony on Sunday, 6th August at 5 p.m. and that you will also be present on the tournament days to witness some of the matches. Please note that every evening we will be sending the match scores for the day, and the next day's fixtures for you. So please be sure to leave your email address and a WhatsApp contact with us. And before we close, I'd like to offer a special thank you to the team at the St. Lucia Olympic Committee office who graciously allowed us to utilize this space for our event this morning. We appreciate your support in this regard. Thank you so much to everyone present, and do have a wonderful day. Thank you.